So that's two versions of the pursuit of the American dream. What we want to know is the American dream still alive? And if so, what is it exactly? We have some help here. We're joined by two people who are living their American dream. Ebong Eka, consultant at Levyti. He's also the author of Start Me Up and the No Business Plan. And Jennifer Streak is the financial columnist for Motley Fool and blackenterprise.com. Anyways, you guys are regulars. Welcome back. It's great to have you here. Let me just start with the American dream theme here. First of all, what is it in your view? Jennifer?
I think it's security, stability, being able to pay your bills, pay them on time, own a home, educate your children, feed your family, retire comfortably, and also leave something behind so that your children can get a fresh start in life as well.
Ebong, is it a material thing? Is it a feeling that you have? Does the American dream have to be about stuff?
That's usually a byproduct. I have to disagree with Jennifer here in the sense that the American dream is more about opportunity. There are people who sit in inner tubes in the ocean to try and get to this country, go through the desert, die to get here so they can have the opportunity to make a few dollars an hour, which is worse than wherever they came from. So the idea of owning a home and all the other stuff, those are all byproducts. It's the opportunity of being able to be, I'm an immigrant myself, just be able to be here. I did everything I could for the last 20 years to stay here and be here permanently.
The last 20 years, we've seen just amazing growth around the world, not just in the U.S., but in almost every continent on Earth. Do you feel like that dream, whatever that dream is, do you feel like it's harder to get today?
I think it's still there. I think it's still, you can still have it. I think that a lot of people feel like it might be unattainable right now because there's such, a dearth of jobs. It's so hard to borrow money nowadays, but it's still there if you want to go after it.
Yeah, I was thinking that, we talk about hard work, and I think about my parents, and I'm sure your parents probably told you the same thing, that hard work is important,
Yes.
but I want to say that hard work is not enough. I don't think that's good enough. Am I being too skeptical?
No, you're actually right, because that's an old script, right? The middle class is getting destroyed, and the reason why they're getting destroyed is because there's old values, there's an old script. You're being told now, if you work hard, get a job at a big company, and you stay there for 30 years or 40 years, you'll get a pension and a gold watch, and then you get to retire. But that's not happening. You're getting fired quickly all the time, and the people who are making money in this country and across the globe are bringing value to the marketplace. When you bring value to the marketplace, people give you money, and they give you a lot of it.
In that last story that we ran, we talked about the cost of a lot of things, and education is obviously a very big one. I recently met up with a number of officials at universities, and I asked them this question: how much does it cost for a 4-year? And the numbers range between $150,000 to $250,000.
Right.
Then you graduate from your 4-year school, and then you come out, and you're making, on average, $45,000 a year.
Yeah.
Part of me wants to think I borrowed all this money to make $45,000, and by the way, the average salary in the United States is only $28,000 because not everyone has that degree necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Is that enough? Is $28,000? Could we call that attaining the American dream, or getting closer to the American dream, or maybe that's just the beginning of the American dream?
Absolutely not. I mean, I think the barrier to entry is so high now. You have this huge student loan debt. It's harder to start a business. It's harder to borrow money. So in that regard, no. I actually kind of agree with Ebong when he says, working for a company for 30 years, it's not going to work anymore.
Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to work for anybody for 30 years.
Do that because
they
want
to retire in 5 years.
But it's about your own creativity and making a way for yourself. Thinking corporate is not the way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Do you worry about the kids of today? They grow up, they're on this, they're tweeting, they're doing all the things, and we joke about it a lot, but hard work might not be in that equation. They want everything right now, and they want it all. I bet if you take a poll of college students what they think they're going to make when they graduate, it would probably shock all of us.
Yes.
How do we help this next generation understand that you don't just get the dream, you have to do something to earn the dream?
See, they're still listening to the old script where you get a job, you go to college for 4 years, waste your money and your time, and eventually end up making $28,000 to $45,000 as a starter. And they're also looking at the new opportunities that people are having, people who are dropping out of college and making millions. The internet's the biggest equalizer. And so what happens is you have to think about, I purposely made a decision when I was 15 years old to go into accounting. Why? Because I knew that there would be a job when I came out. That's it. I really wanted to go to advertising.
What was your biggest mistake after you graduated?
I didn't have one. I was able to pay off all my debts. I got a job immediately after I played professional basketball. I was able to do other things. But I had friends who went to the same schools that I did, had $30,000, $40,000 in debt, and they're doing sales. You could have done sales without having to go to college. What was the point?
Jennifer?
I mean, I had a law degree, and I also followed that up with an MBA, so I was able to pay off any debt. But the generation behind me scares me because I think, like you said, they want everything right now. They're looking at TV, and they're seeing how people are getting stuff, whether it's being on a reality show, whether it's somehow being a YouTube sensation. And I mean, that's not going to be the path that everyone is able to walk.
There are estimates of this year alone, some 80,000 kids on that border between Mexico and the United States. They're trying to come here to get a taste of the American dream. And I don't even like talking about that in that way because the American dream is sort of a global dream. There's people from all over the world that just want to be happy and they want to make it. And for some people, it's the houses. For some people, it's having property. For some people, it's being happy or taking care of yourself or your kids or your parents.
Right.
When they begin that journey of that dream, for whoever it is, do you think they look back and they say to themselves, it's too hard? Is there a point where they throw in a towel and give up?
I hope not. I
mean, right? But that's a realistic question. Some people who are very skeptical of this dream say, well, you know what? It's just too hard. The ceiling is too thick. I'm never going to get there, so I give up.
No, I don't see it. I don't see it. I think that there's so much creativity and work ethic and ambition that's still out there. I don't see people just giving up. There are going to be some stumbles and some pitfalls, but they always come out of it.
I mean, I know of people, close friends of mine, who've come over to this country as political asylum, under political asylum, with $400 in their pockets, and now they're millionaires because they spent the last 10, 15 years building a business and creating value. If you have to think about it, how bad was it, that old country that they came from, that they're going to walk through the desert as children without their parents to come to this country with a chance, maybe the chance of making money and making more money and then sending it home.
I mean, I want to say it's going to happen quite often. My father, for example, came to the United States with this much money, zero. Went to school. The rest is history. He ended up being a well-off, middle-class, normal worker.
Right.
But for a lot of folks, they say, well, you have to have special skills. You got to be educated. You got to know how to use the internet. And there are a lot of things now. I mean, life is very different. You have special skill sets. What's the #1 skill that you need, in your opinion, to attain this dream?
The one thing I would say you need is to be internet savvy right now. You need to know how to use that in terms of marketing, in terms of getting yourself out there. If you have a business, knowing how to get that off the ground.
But not everyone's a salesperson either.
Not a salesperson, but I mean, there's so much that you can do now with social media.
You have to promote yourself.
You can do it, and you can do it yourself. 5, 10 years ago, you had to pay someone to do that. Now you don't. If you're a small business owner and you really want to promote yourself, promote a book, promote an idea, a concept, you can get out there and do it.
Ebong, what's the #1 skill people need to have, whether you're in the U.S., you're in Europe, or you're in China?
Success leaves clues. So you know a couple of years in advance, you know exactly what's going to be on the horizon. So we know right now that healthcare, it's not a surprise that healthcare is an issue. So all you need to do is go to schools and learn about whatever the new healthcare skill that's required. Trade schools, people need welders, people need people to work on cars. If you don't want to go back to college and do a 4-year degree, you have ample opportunity to learn what's coming next. And there's no excuse for that. If you want it, you can make an excuse for not having the skills.
All right. Well, this is a great topic. And by the way, you should also watch Biz Asia America. Jennifer Streak, Ebong Eka, good to see you guys. Great to have you guys on.
Thank you.
All right. Much more to come.